Hi students, welcome back to geology. This week we are working on minerals. So there are different segments that we'll go through. This first segment is what exactly is a mineral. So as we go through this, I want you to think about what makes a substance a mineral versus something like rock or glass. Okay, so when you look at this picture, you might immediately think that it looks like glass, but it is in fact a zoomed in photograph of a mineral. So what exactly is a mineral? So there are certain criteria that make a mineral, and then we'll talk about how they form. Okay, so a mineral is naturally occurring. It has to be inorganic, and that's with an asterisk for now, a crystalline solid with a definite chemical composition. So it has to meet these criteria. It has to be naturally occurring, it has to be inorganic, it has to be solid, have a crystalline structure, and a definite chemical composition. Now, something I want you to think about, would you consider ice to be a mineral? So think about how ice is made. Is ice naturally occurring? And your answer should be it depends, right? So if you're looking at glacial ice, it's naturally occurring. If you're looking at ice that is made in the freezer, that's not naturally occurring, right? So you want to use this definition to try to disseminate whether something is a mineral or not. The asterisk I mentioned with the inorganic, or inorganic was part of the mineral definition prior to 1985. In 1985, we knew a little bit more about minerals and a little bit more about the earth. And some of these minerals are derived from organic material. They don't necessarily have living things in them anymore, but they are derived from organic material or living organisms that once were. So this changed because of these discrepancies. So now inorganic is an asterisk. Most are inorganic, but there are some that form from organic sources, like calcite, which is pictured here. Calcite is in some shelled organisms in the ocean. When they die, they fall to the bottom of the ocean floor. They go through the decay process, and then through geologic processes, they turn into calcite. Now, how are minerals formed exactly? So what are they made of? Minerals are made of elements. Elements are made of atoms. So we have the periodic table of elements that we use to help understand the elements on Earth. When they bond together, when atoms bond together, they form these elements, and the elements can bond with other atoms, and they form into minerals. So here's an example of sodium and chloride ions forming halite, and halite is made up of sodium and chloride, chlorine, so NaCl, and that's halite is table salt essentially. So atoms that are bonding are made up of these subatomic particles known as protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons are positively charged, neutrons have no charge, and electrons are negatively charged. Okay, that becomes important when we talk about their bonding in a second. The elements within the Earth's crust is not a huge abundance of all of them. So when we look at the Earth's crust specifically, the majority of it is made of oxygen and silicon. That makes up 2/3 of the pie here. And then we have aluminum, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, and then everything else on the periodic table makes up 1.5% of the Earth's crust. So less than 2% of the Earth's crust is everything else. Looking at the atomic structure of an atom and how it works. So we have protons and neutrons that make the nucleus, and then the electrons surround that. And in the electron cloud, a happy electron stable cloud is 8 electrons in the outer shell. If the atom does not have 8 electrons, it searches for that 8th electron or a way to donate or bond with another to share. Okay, so that's called bonding. And the most common type of bonding for atoms is ionic bonding. And this is when one electron is donated to another atom so that that atom has 8 outer shell electrons. Okay, so so this is a donation process and an acceptance process. They're not sharing anything. One is just leaving one atom and going to another. Now, this creates a great bond, but it's not as strong as our covalent bond. Covalent bonds are when two atoms are sharing electrons. So they share two outer shell electrons so that they each have 8. So instead of one donating and having one 6 outer and one 8 outer, they share 2 so they both have 8. And this creates a much, much stronger bond like diamond. So diamond is a series of covalently bonded carbon atoms that have been pressurized at depth to create this beautiful crystal. So covalent bonds are going to be found in things like carbon and are very, very strong minerals. Okay, so final thoughts. Minerals are made of bonded elements from the Earth's crust. So we talked about 2 different bond types. Ionic bonds and covalent bonds are the most popular. And in your notes, I want you to name one thing that must be true for a substance to be a mineral. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.